Sorry we're messy. We've been pulling stuff out and we were painting all the walls, so we had to shove everything in the lot, so we're looking a little messy. I apologize. Has anybody been here before?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes? Okay, cool. Anybody else? No? Everybody's new? One back in the back? 2 times? Second time? Okay, cool. Awesome. Okay, so whoever hasn't been here, this building is where Chip started Foose Design in '99, so I'll show you this other side too. This is where we do client cars, Riddler cars, SEMA cars, anything Chip's built for himself in the past, and then anything we pulled off site for like Disney, Cars Land, and then any design work. So we don't do the show here. He does the show somewhere else and kind of jumps back and forth. Sometimes we'll do a clip here or use the paint booth. But this is where we do competition cars. So this is more long-term, ground-up cars or combining cars together. We do a lot of coach building, old school stuff, wooden bucks, clay molds. This is kind of where Chip does like his dreaming and kind of competes with himself and more long-term stuff. So pretty much everything in here is all client owned. And then I'll just go around and tell you about the different cars, where they're going, or if they're going somewhere, that kind of stuff. You can take pictures if you want. This one is based off of a 33. Basically, it's just for the customer. It's not going to compete anywhere, but when we finish it, we'll probably take it to a SEMA or something so the customer can enjoy that and then fans can see it. So right now we're doing the grille design and headlight design with Mike Curtis. This is the drawing of the engine cover. We did the engine cover out of the clay mold process. It's just not on here right now. And then that's the final rendering, as close to it at this point as it'll be. Chip sometimes changes the design along the way. We just primered the running boards and doors, and they're just getting fitment. Any of the trim molding that you see, that'll all get chromed. We've already done around the windows. And in the dash and the console, that'll all get chromed. They just pulled in all and built all the innards, and they're fitting all of that. And you guys can come look in the car and up and around it if you want to. We just did the molding for up here in the liner, and we're doing all the clay mold pieces all up in here. Chip likes to do clay. It's very old school. We can get really detailed with it. They're working on the trunk pattern right now. They do it out of cardboard and then go into metal, so it's just kind of like paper dolls, really old school. We'll start cutting the seats soon and building those, get into interior, and then we'll go into building the windows. They'll be all custom, and then we'll go to paint, interior, wheels, all the fun, pretty stuff. So that's that one.
Do you take questions?
Sure.
What, is this a project that you priced finished, or is it by the hour?
We do a T&M. So
And
we
what is
do
your-
deposit, we do T&M, and then we try to gauge what we think the build will be at. And then if there is, Chip, as he's going, things come to him, and sometimes he'll start changing direction. If it's a big change that makes the money, change in a big way, we constantly talk with our customers. They check in, that kind of stuff. So if it's a big modification, obviously, yes, we would talk.
What is the hourly rate?
It depends on the car. It could be 80, it could be 100, it could be 125. It depends on what we're doing. We're doing ground up Riddler, combining 2 cars together, customization, they're all different. Really depends on the car. markers for welding. We're building the bed and building the chassis. The bed's there. And then we just got some fenders and we're modifying them. So basically just the shape of the truck will be like Overlord's. We pulled some of his graphs and drawings, and then we have the truck, so we just measure that. We just mounted the engine and got that and kind of decided what engine, so that's different than Chip's because he has a Roush engine in his. And then when it gets to paint, wheels, tires, interior, that will all be one off to the truck. This owner has a winery, so he wants it for his winery, so the color will be kind of like deep purple burgundy. And then we're going to do his logo. Chip will design that, and it'll be on the sides of the doors. So that's kind of what we're doing with that. We talked about maybe taking a casino route if we're going to, so we're focusing on some other projects for that. So we're just kind of doing this in between other builds. So yeah, just the shape of that will be that. So it's kind of a quicker build, not as extensive as most of the builds that we do here. So 39 Lincoln Zephyr Woody. I saw someone had a Woody they pulled up in, so you'll probably enjoy this project. But this will be pretty much ground up. So basically what Chip is doing is he got roller coaster steel, so the two rails are that. We had the two pieces kind of bowed for us, but all these curves down in here have been made by hand, so it's months of work. They just built this kind of fabulous box back in here. It's going to have Corvette suspension, Corvette rear end. This will compete at the Riddler, probably, if I had to guess, 16 or 17. When we get kind of closer to the end of the build, we'll decide which one we'll slow down or speed up and pick a year to compete at. This will have over 12,000 man hours in it, so it will be really extensive when you do a Riddler car. You know, when you show them, they have to be angled up, mirrors underneath, the bottom has to be as good as the top. They look at every nook and cranny, every knob you turn the radio on will be machined by hand here. So it's just really, really, really extensive. So when picking the engine, Chip talked to the customer. He knew of these engines. He knows Ryan. He talked to the customer about doing this engine and he wanted it. So he bought the engine like a year before we started the chassis. So Ryan does this engine in land, sea, and air. This is the land version of it. It's a V12 and it has 811 horsepower. Ryan does these all fully custom. So there's an aircraft concept in there. And then we had Dan Woods design this panel that goes all the way along the entire bottom of the car, of the engine, sorry. So it's kind of a cool, unique element. So Chip's really kind of building the car around the engine. And then our owner of this car is very tall. He's like 6'3", really big, broad man. Chip's just a little taller than me. When he designs cars very low and sleek. So he has to really scale even the owner to be able to sit into the car because he wants to get it as low as he can. So that's like a whole element you have to really think about when you're building a ground up car. When he designed the car, he did 4 body styles. The owner picks that one. It's the most traditional of the 4, even though it has different elements to it. And like I said, as Chip designs, he will tweak things along the way as they come to him. I think are going to do a wood buck. He kind of talked about that too. We did also have a guy come out and flop the whole entire car and put it into the system digitally. And we're going to do some other special elements that we're kind of not talking about. Another kind of unique thing that we're going to do with the car is this owner has a vacation home in Hawaii. When we get to the wood on the car, we're going to take trees from his property and that will all be hand carved. When you do a Riddler car, you kind of have to tell a story throughout the car. It has to really flow. You do a build book. We're also going to do a whole video of the whole entire build and we'll piece that all together, and that will play as it's displayed. So there's just really a whole thing. So Riddler cars, if you do a ground up this day and age, are in the 2 million category. So it's really unique. You don't get many opportunities to do cars like this. You have to be a particular person to want to do them. They're expensive, they're time consuming. You have to have other cars that you drive and play with. They're really a piece of artwork. You don't drive them around on the streets. And then it's kind of a responsibility once you do a Riddler, whether you win or lose, to the car world, to the fans, to the Autorama, all of it, to really show these cars afterwards. All of our Riddler winners 02, 03, and 05 still show their cars all over the world at their expense. It's a big family, it's a community, so that's really part of it, you know. So, and we're super honored to get to do one again because not everybody gets to do one. So, stuff on the walls and ceilings, because before we had the building next door, we were running out of room, so I would just put stuff everywhere. So you can look. He's kind of a / licensing partner now too. He actually asked Chip if he could buy it from him, and Chip said yes. And but he wanted Chip to still build it, and he wanted Chip to build it the way he wanted to build it. So he kind of got lucky, sold it, and still gets to build it. So the rendering is behind you. Sorry, it's really small. I only got to print it up on a piece of paper. But that's how Chip's doing it. We're going to take it to SEMA. It's going to be in the BASF paint booth. And I think they're going to put it in this fuel injector booth also, which we are putting on the car. So basically all Chip did was just strip it down, and we're resurfacing it. And really all he did to modify the body was make these edges just a little tighter, because it has such a cool shape to the body. I love this car. So just make those wing backs just really tight and edge it in, and we're just going to pack a ton of chrome on this car. So he's just doing a really pretty silver gray, so it's just going to be really shiny, and then just chrome will go around on all the edges of the car, down in here, and a bunch all in here, and just a bunch on the fenders, and then it's going to come up all on these edges too. So it's just going to be super shiny and pretty. I know he's still going to want to modify the body, the bumpers, everything. So we'll unveil that in the Ford booth at SEMA. And then we're also doing a live build with Overhauling there on site. And the last 2 years we did a new car and gave it away. We're going back to an old car. We're going to start it here, finish the build there, and we'll unveil it Friday night at this new thing called Ignite. So the public can see it. And then we'll see how it goes. So the chassis over here on a table, we had built a big iron table. So you can see how we had to scale it out, the owner, the chassis, the Zephyr engine. So that's just the bottom part of it. Because when you build from the ground up, you have to get length, measurement, suspension, ground clearance. You can't go backwards, so everything has to be scaled properly, especially when you're not using a computer or CAD or anything like that. We do everything very old school here. Chip doesn't even do the computer. So everything is by hand, everything's drawn by hand first. Everything is always like that here. So we're a little mistake. Imposter. So this has been an on again, off again project here. So this we are taking to Detroit in March. So basically what this car is, if you don't know it, it is a 65 Impala, and Chip basically cut it in half across the back wheel well, shortened the body 14 inches, dropped the top and pushed the windshield in, and then he bought a new Corvette, stripped it all down, cut the Corvette chassis and stretched it out 4 inches, and then dumped the two together. We did some new stuff where we did kind of this new laser technology with the front grille, and then Chip designed these new headlights, and Mike Curtis machined them, and they're going to all fit in nice and tight in here. And then any of this that you see will be chromed, obviously. We're putting the Corvette engine in here, Magnuson supercharger, and then we did 3 engine covers. They're super cool, and they're going to all be packed in there with a really cool Corvette emblem. And then we had to change all the grooves to the inside of the hood so the hood can fit down nice and tight. In this car, you'll see elements of both cars like flowing throughout the whole car. So what we did was we put the Corvette dash and door panels inside of the car, clayed over and modified and built all new molds. So when we're finished resurfacing everything, we're going to put all the Corvette new pieces inside the dash and door panel holes, and then we're going to feed all that Corvette wiring, technology, and navigation into this car. So it's going to be rough at the end for our wiring guy. And then you can just see we're building a mold that comes down, and it's going to be a 2-seater coupe inside now. It's not going to have that big back bucket seat. And then he made 2 panels in here that will open up, and they can have storage from the inside here. You can see doors open like a Corvette. You can see Corvette elements here. We're going to have to build all new custom windows. You can come around if you want to see in the back. The trunk is very small now. They used to have huge trunks. This is a Corvette element. The bumper is going to be very narrow and thin. So there's just a lot of changes, a lot of body work on this car. And we had just built a contraption and the guys flipped the car sideways. Instead of using rotisserie, they use this other contraption that they built. So they resurfaced the bottom of the car just as tight as the top. So we're still working on that. And then when we get to paint, they'll flip it again and they'll paint the underneath just as pretty too. We're gonna take this to Detroit in March and we're gonna compete with it. We have a stock 65. Chip did like a touch-up paint job, put carpet and put tires on it. We're gonna stagger the cars. We got a huge like area in Detroit, and he's gonna stagger them together, the stock with this car, so everybody can see how much stuff's been done to this car. And then we're gonna unveil the story of the couple, why they started this car and this build here, their family, their life together, something that happened to the owner while we were building this car, why it's kind of been an up and down thing. It's a really beautiful story. So
whereabouts are they from?
Excited, Canada.
Abbotsford?
Surrey, yeah, BC,
Yep.
yeah. So it's really awesome. So we're super excited to unveil it. So it's going to be one of my favorites, I think. It was going to be green, and then Chip did a rendering in these other colors, and then they really liked it. But they just came out it was like 2 weeks ago. Chip did like 6 different panels of paint schemes, and it changed. And it's really cool. It's two-toned with a pinstripe, and the bottom color is a color I've never seen before. I've never seen Chip do it, and I've never seen it on a car ever before. It's really beautiful. So it's super cool. So we're excited.